Well, I just got back from the mud pit, and as you can tell, the tires are fully deflated, which isn't what it's supposed to be. But I was trying to reinflate them, and my vacuum hose blew out, and by the time I noticed it, pretty much all my pressure in my tires are lost. So as you can tell, this stuff is not going to hold up, so we put that stuff to the test, at least right up to the exhaust ducting here. So I'll have to use some expensive stuff. I was thinking about a silicone elbow. I was like, yeah, might as well just do a proper job and just get the whole stuff and just to make sure. But yeah, I'm gonna get that replaced. I'm gonna throw it back over to where it was, and I'll kind of go through some other items that kind of popped up that I need to resolve. Alright, back at home base here with the Derp ATV. Just a couple of minor tweaks and issues that I kind of found during that little mud pit trials there. Well, it's not really a mud pit because it's been a very dry spring, so fortunately not as much mud as I'd want, but it's good enough to start out with. But anyways, besides the obviously the exhaust hosing there getting charbroiled for the inflation system that I got to fix, I'm also getting a pretty decent leak once she starts rising up in temps with the supply side of my radiator hose there. But so far she's been sticking at 190, which is interesting, so hopefully we can keep it that way. But essentially what's happening is I just used a piece of Schedule 40 water pipe and I just clamped it to it. Obviously that's not the way you need to do it. Just trying to cheap out of there a little bit, but obviously I got to go in and replace them with proper barb fitting, so I'll have to do that. Another thing I want to do, just for my comfort level, there's a lot of heat getting built up in this cabin, basically because of the way I oriented the radiator, which I kind of anticipated. You know, obviously heat rises, so all that heat from the radiator is just getting circulated up into the cabin and swirling around and all sorts of fun stuff. Interestingly, during that whole test, the fans never kicked on, so obviously all that heat is just getting put into this huge voluminous cab here. Not too bad if it's the winter time, but when it's the summertime, definitely gonna have to insulate that that radiator without, you know, sacrificing too much airflow for the fans. So that's basically the bad what I got going on. Oh, also I'm probably gonna have to get like a rubber sheeting here because once it gets all mucky and muddy, it'd be really nice just to take the rubber sheet and whack it out later. I really like the automatic transmission. It's really nice for modulated control, especially if you're off-roading and all that fun stuff. The steering system, I was able to kind of fiddle with the right brake for about, oh gosh, 10 or 15 minutes. I got it to a point where if you pull back with both hands on the right lever, you can steer it on your tarmac, which is obviously your worst case scenario situation. But man, once you get this thing off-road, it turns like, oh, you can just pull back with one finger and she'll pirouette and all that fun stuff. So even better in the mud too, because you got all that rolling resistance. It just locks up the track. The one thing you have to take into account is basically an on or off clutching system. So there's like no slippage that you can go through the system. That's mainly due to the preset parameters of the controller and the linear actuator. So you not only do you have to think about the on-off control, but also there is a on-off delay, essentially. More so on the off side, because you can feel that clutch then kick in, you know. So that's just something I got to get used to from an operational standpoint, because there's no, you know, mechanical feedback from the clutching system. Definitely on the braking side, but not on the clutch. I think that's about it, besides obviously that offset chain drive being a noisy son of a bitch, but I think that's just the way it's going to be until I work on Derp 2.0, which will have no chains, you know, all that, just get rid of all that bull crap and just keep it shaft and gear driven. So that's about it for now when I kind of conduct these fixes, and then hopefully I can take her for another swamp run there. So, yep.